Well, it's an exciting day because Sigma has released 3 lens options for the EFM mount system. And thanks to the enthusiasm from some of you subscribers out there, I went ahead and picked up the 16mm F1.4 for myself to test out today. Now, there's also a 30 and a 54mm out there, and we'll get to that. But for today, let's focus on the 16mm and all things Sigma. Here we go. Now, if you've never had a Sigma lens for yourself, there is a stunning beauty and quality to them that you can tell as soon as you put your hands on it and touch it and pick it up. All the way from the lens cap itself, to the lens element, to the focus ring, so smooth and crisp. Everything is just extremely well made. Very large lens element on this particular lens, by the way. And that's something to keep in mind because with Sigma, they put completely into the thought pattern of design, creating this lens for function and performance. And that is really the only point. And they kind of tossed out the window the idea of making it compact and lightweight. This weighs 405 grams, and that's in comparison to, say, the native wide-angle lens, which is the 11-22 EFM, which is only 220 grams. Now, you can see right here just the difference in size and in diameter, and it's quite a bit of difference there. But I'm willing to wager that when I test these together, not in this video, but in a future one, there's going to be quite a bit of difference in performance as well. Now, besides that, the design itself of the Sigma lens is very sleek and simplistic, really, overall. As you look at it, there's really no buttons, bells or whistles on it. It's got some nice highlights on there, like this metal logo, but besides that, it just has stated on it the 16mm 1.4 DCDN. It's got Sigma on there. It's a nice mixture of plastic and metallic components. And of course, that metal brings a little bit more weight into the lens itself as well. So that's why it's coming in at 405 grams. By the way, bringing up that compact mentality once again, here's the 22mm native lens. And in comparison, it's like David and Goliath here. Like, just look at that. That's crazy. But in any case, the Sigma lens fits perfectly onto the M50 body. And let's go out and test it out and see how it performs in the real world use with photography, video, low light, and more. Here we go. All right, now this lens continued to blow me away throughout all my testing. So first of all, pretty exciting for anyone who's going to be utilizing it for video or vlogging style shots, kind of like this. You can tether it to your camera, of course, with the M50, eye tracking, face tracking, working at night with no immediate light source here. And with the wide angle field of view combined with the fast prime speed, you can get these night shots quite easily and vlog at ease without bringing around a light source that you have to worry about. Now, there's definitely a limitation. I took some shots of this haunted 200-year-old hospital, and you know, when you go down there with there's only candlelight, it's just not enough, of course, but that's more the limitation of the APS-C size sensor, as well as the same limitation that I run into in photography when you have no immediate light sources that are very bright at all, or none, maybe just starlight and moonlight. You're gonna start finding you're gonna need a tripod to hold that camera still for longer shutter speeds. The specific example of that was walking by Christmas lights, standing about 10 feet away, trying to use them as lighting source for lighting up a subject, and I found that the shutter speed that was necessary had gotten to the point where holding handheld was going to end up with a little bit of blur into the image. And of course, that's why I bring around a tripod, just in case I want to take those slightly longer shots and I don't want to see any of that image quality loss. The other thing we should talk about is image stabilization. So this 16mm does not have image stabilization as part of the lens, so you're gonna have to rely upon the in-camera body stabilization that digitally crops in and stabilizes the video shot. Now, here's an example of doing that when walking, and you're gonna see the example from no stabilization to enabled to enhance enabled, and the crop coming in with each setting. Now, the crop isn't that noticeable to me when I'm just enabling it, but as you can see, it's not quite as potent on the stabilization. Here's another example, by the way, with just a panning shot, which I tend to not need as much of the stabilization with a panning shot because you have a lot more control, especially if you're utilizing good camera control technique. Keeping the camera body in, both hands on, clenched tightly. But even here I find that that nice wide angle field of view comes in quite handy because maybe you don't need the composition of the entire field of view, but you really do want to get a shot that has complete stability, almost at a gimbal level, and the M50 can provide that when you have enhanced enabled. Beyond that, I was so happy to see how well this lens performs with landscape shots, shooting buildings, anything we want to get a lot of subject matter into the shot. This lens performs phenomenally well. And of course, in daylight, crystal clear shots. Now, another big question is the autofocusing speed, accuracy, and how much noise does it generate when it's autofocusing, especially extreme distances from far and close. Well, I'm gonna shut up for a second. You can hear for yourself. Ready? Here we go. There's nowhere you can hear any of that. I can't even hear it here, standing about 1 foot away from the camera. You also saw the speed and accuracy there. This is using large area autofocus, and it's honestly beating most of the native lenses. The 32 is way slower than this, the one I just reviewed. The 22 could keep up, but considering how large and how far it's going through, depth of field is just, it's phenomenal. It's just a really well functioning lens in all regards. I'm pretty blown away by it. As far as the different modes, it operates just the same, just as well with the different modes of autofocusing. That night shot that you just saw with me standing outside with very little lighting was eye tracking face autofocus, and it did a really great job keeping focus, even shooting at relatively high ISO. And then with a lot of that montage video, I was bouncing on purpose from like the photographer's shoulder to the model, or like the lighting lens to the model, and it was just as fast and accurate as it is right here in the studio. Now, as a wide angle lens, there is some barrel distortion. It's most noticeable when you're shooting a subject that has some sort of consistent line, straight line that runs either the length or the width of the shot. You can kind of see that here in this photo, where I was intentionally trying to look for as much barrel distortion as I could perceive. But that's kind of par for the course for wide angle lenses. And beyond that, I also noticed what I would consider above average amounts of lens flaring when shooting in extremely bright lights. This was up at the top of the 360 bridge kind of lookout position in Austin, Texas. And with the sun shining bright, it was quite a bit of lens flaring. You could notice both in video and photo modes. Of course, it comes with the lens hood. I was not using it at this time. I don't really like to carry those around. And I actually kind of like lens flaring, and I like to throw it into compositions at times. So that's me. But if you want to diminish it, it does come with the lens hood. That should limit that just a bit. All right, y'all, there you go. The Sigma 16mm F1.4 lens for the EFM mount system. Brand new out from Sigma, and exciting to see some more lenses finally come to the EFM system. I'm gonna be getting the 30mm and the 54mm. Can't wait to see that and test it out, because who knows, they may have dethroned the 32mm native lens. We should find out at least, right? Because the cost is comparable and the quality may not be. We'll see. Now, if you're interested in this lens for yourself, I'm going to post links down in the description and comment below. Please check that out. Helps out the channel if you do. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the requests, guys. Love the enthusiasm. And I'll see you guys next time on Drive-By Reviews.